Hey everyone, we just disembarked the Carnival Venezia. And boy, do we have some stories for you. Let's go. Hey everyone, John here from Bite Size Cruises. Welcome back to the channel. It has been a wild 4 days. We just got off the Carnival Venezia. Before I get into this review and debrief, keep in mind I like to do these as soon as I get off the ship or while I'm on the ship. So we just got off the ship this morning. It is 2 o'clock in the afternoon as I'm recording this on Monday, June the 10th. And we got off the ship at 8 something this morning. So it's very fresh. I took the train home, picked up my dog, walked my dog, and I'm sitting down to record this. I wanted to record it right away, and I like to record these right away so I don't forget a lot of details, because it's amazing how quick things just pop out of your memory. So just to give you a little indication on how this is going to work, if you're new to our channel, we are going to talk about the embarkation process, the ship itself, the service, the food, the itinerary, the entertainment, and the disembarkation. We're also going to talk about the people on this one because we're going to spill some tea. So if you are new here, we are a travel agency. Our only goal here is to give you the best information about cruising. We put out a brand new video about cruising every single day. Now, people ask us all the time, hey, do you get paid by the cruise lines? Do you go on these trips for free? We do not. The reason that we do not go on these trips for free is so that we can be open and honest about what we see and what we find on these cruises. Couple things about us. One, you're never going to get clickbaity stuff. I'm never going to be like, you won't believe what happened, and then not tell you things in the actual video. And we're never going to be overly sensational. So as we get started here, the one thing I want to say is all the things we talk about today are not an indictment on Carnival Cruise Lines. I was on Carnival Jubilee in January of this year. It's still my favorite cruise of the year so far. Been on 6 cruises this year. And that cruise was outstanding. It was a 7-day cruise out of Galveston. It was amazing. This is not an indictment of the Carnival Venezia ship, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. There are a lot of factors that are going to go into these things. And we always tell people, look, take our review, take every review with a grain of salt. Sometimes people are overly promotional or overly effusive with praise. Sometimes people are super negative. My goal here is just to be open and honest with what we saw and what we experienced. So first, let's talk about embarkation. I had a 12 o'clock check-in time. It's pretty late for me. I generally try to do an earlier check-in time. Meg and AJ from our team had an 11:30 a.m. check-in time. I actually got there before them. I got there around 11:15. I waited for them. We went in around 11:45. Immediately getting into the pool, we got separated. I was an idiot. I forgot to bring my printed boarding pass, which you need for Carnival. I printed it. I just forgot to bring it. I actually think it is sitting in this book next to me. Let's see if it is. It's not. So I don't know what I did with the Carnival boarding pass. I definitely printed it. Who knows? So I had to step out of line real quick for a second and get a little printed slip. So Meg and AJ went in front of me. They actually got put directly, they went through the X-ray area and they got put right into priority for whatever reason. So they checked in relatively quickly within about 15 minutes. I waited in line for about 45 minutes. For some reason, the check-in process in New York it's one of my least favorite piers to check in. And I go on many cruises on many different lines out of the Manhattan Cruise Terminal. It's not one of the terminals that's like Cape Liberty where it's just Royal. So this is for all the different cruise lines. So again, this is not an indictment on Carnival. Carnival really doesn't have anything to do with it yet. We'll get to where the delays were with embarkation. So it took me 45 minutes or so to get through the line, to wind around the line just to check in, which seems crazy considering I just walked up and they were like, they looked at my passport and they were like, great, go. So that was it. I was ready, did all the check-in with my photo and everything on my phone. So that was all good to go. So I walked up and then I waited another 15 minutes to go through 2 layers of the drug dogs, which we'll get into in a second. So I think it's great. If you have an issue with guests bringing drugs on board, which Carnival has had some issues with weed on board, Lots of people smoking weed. So now they have drug dogs at several different checkpoints, and they have drug dogs on the ship. So we waited there. The very odd configuration, I'll give you the configuration. You basically stand in two lines on sides, you push your bags forward, and then you have to step back. Then the dogs smell your bags, and then they give you an up or down, and then you go. Here's the thing. If you had drugs in your bag or on your person, if you had them in your bag and then you get out of the check-in and then you put them on your person, the dogs aren't smelling you. They're allowing the people to walk through with no issue. So we get the all clear, and then we go through, and then we stop just to get your boarding pass scanned, which takes 10 seconds, no big deal. And then we get on the ship. Once we're on the ship, everything's cool. The rooms are basically ready already because it took so long to get on. So embarkation was fairly smooth, just long. So again, I don't think I'm not gonna blame Carnival for that. Every embarkation I do in the New York port seems to take more time than it does at other ports, for whatever reason, right? It's not the end of the world. It doesn't take 6 hours. It just took a long time, or longer than I think it should, to check people in. Okay, so embarkation, give it like a C. Nothing crazy, but it wasn't a wonderful experience like it is sometimes. Next up, let's talk about the ship. So my initial reactions of the ship were, it was really cute. It's a very cute ship. It's not a huge ship. It's not a tiny ship. It is, I think AJ from our team said this, or Meg said, this is the first time we've been on a ship and it felt like a medium-sized cruise ship, where it's not a mega like Excel class like Jubilee. It's not like an Oasis class. It's a very medium-sized cruise ship. So we did a little tour and walk around of the ship. The ship is very pretty. There's very pretty elements to it. I did notice in a lot of areas, again, we're just going to be transparent and honest here. There's a lot of disrepair around the ship of things that are like falling apart. Whether like the paint is falling apart, like it's not being upkept, or just like there was a lot of different things where you looked and things were like super rusty, or the paint was falling off, or something wasn't painted. So just something to be aware of. Otherwise, the ship is beautiful. If you walk around the ship, it's got really pretty elements. The Serenity deck is beautiful. The Lido deck area, while strangely configured, being a smaller pool deck indoors sometimes, is a little strange. It's a beautiful area. So my initial impressions of the ship were that it was really cute. It was pretty. It does not feel like a Carnival ship at all. If you've been on other Carnival cruises, it's not going to feel like a Carnival ship, which is interesting. My only other constructive criticism of the ship is in the retrofit, because this was a Costa ship that they brought over to the US and Carnival retrofitted it. They carnivalized it, so to speak. A lot of the free food offerings were smushed into one area. So all of the free food, pretty much free food components other than La Strada Grill, which is out on Deck 5 on the Lanai. Otherwise, everything is smushed into the buffet area. So Guy's Burger, buffet area. Tomodoro, buffet area. Seafood Shack, buffet area. Pizzeria del Capitano, buffet area. And the deli smack in the middle of the buffet. So all of that stuff is smushed in, which creates a lot of chaos, which we'll get into when we talk about food. So I would say the ship overall, I would give like a BB plus. It's a really pretty ship. I'm trying to do grades now on these reviews and debriefs. It's a really pretty ship. There are some minor cosmetic issues. The theater's beautiful. It's just it's a very nice ship aesthetically. There are some layout issues, but again, I think that's more due to the retrofit. But yeah, so that's that. The service on board is going to be where the ship starts to sink a little bit. So let's get out of the way the good stuff first. Our room steward was great. The specialty dining staff service was excellent. Everybody was wonderful. The rest of the staff around the ship looks to be defeated. I think that's the best way that I can explain it. That's what Meg and AJ and myself all saw We talked to a few different people. I don't want to say where they work because I don't want anybody to get in trouble. Not that anybody's watching this video that cares. Not like we have millions of views, but I'm going to protect those people anyway if the 100 people that watch this say something or work for Carnival. We talked to a few people and we were like, hey, how's everything going? Because one of the things we like to do is we like to learn how to say like thank you and good morning, good afternoon in different languages, right? So we always wind up talking to a lot of Filipino staff because we've learned a couple phrases and stuff. So we asked them how they were doing, and the few people that we talked to said not good, just having a terrible day. People are mean and just awful. They're not having great experiences. We also noticed this is the first time on 60 whatever cruise this is for me, we saw staff just standing around, which is, I can't tell you how odd that is to see on a cruise ship, right? If you go to McDonald's, you're definitely going to see staff standing around. If you are on a cruise, it is very rare that you see staff standing around. To the point of one time in the morning, I went up to grab coffee. I went up to do some filming of the ship to do a ship tour, which is very difficult because nobody goes to sleep on Carnival. And there were 20 to 25 staff members sitting around on their phones watching videos and chatting amongst themselves. I have never seen that on a cruise in the history of my cruising. I'm not saying that that's a good or bad thing. I'm just saying it is very odd to see something like that on a cruise. The other thing I will say is in the buffet, when we went to the buffet for breakfast or lunch, we didn't eat dinner in the buffet, but we absolutely ate breakfast and lunch there a few times. The buffet was never so crowded that you couldn't find a table, but you couldn't find tables because they were dirty. So there was just stuff piled up on table after table after table after table. And I would say it was like, if you went into the buffet, there was maybe like 10 to 15% of the tables were open and dirty, which is, again, strikingly odd. Now, they could be severely understaffed for whatever reason. I have no idea. It's just the weirdest little things I've ever seen. Again, I'm not saying things are good or bad. I'm just saying that it was uncharacteristic of what I normally see. And then again, out in the on the Lido deck area, if you went to sit down with like a cup of coffee or something, there was glasses and stuff all over the place. So very interesting. Just again, I'm going to say it 100 times during this video. This video is not meant to be negative. It's not meant to be overly positive. It's meant to be honest and tell you what we experienced. Some people are going to say, oh, blah, blah, blah. I have nothing against Carnival. I had an amazing time on Jubilee. Again, it's my favorite cruise of the year. It's my favorite ship of the year so far that I've been on. I had an amazing time on Jubilee. And I've been on Encore, Jubilee, Breakaway, Seashore, and now this. So maybe one other one, who knows? But yeah, service was weird. But again, the people that we dealt with, if we went to specialty dining or our room steward or whatever, and we went to guest services once to swap out room keys, they were wonderful. Yeah, so that's that. So let's get past service. Let's talk about food. Super highlight on the cruise. Food was excellent. Everywhere we ate, the food was either good or excellent. We'll do full reviews of specialty dining that we did. We ate at Il Viaggio. We ate at the Banzai Sushi place twice. We ate in the main dining room. We ate in the buffet. We ate at Pizzeria del Capitano. We ate at the deli. We ate at Tomodoro, and we ate at Guy's Burger. We could not eat at the Seafood Shack. It was either too crowded so on the app, which I actually enjoyed, which we'll talk about the technology at some point, but on the app, you could order from the Seafood Shack and pick it up. We could never do that because it was too busy. But we did stand there maybe for 15, 20 minutes once to try to get a lobster roll. And they were so inundated with people buying like Alaskan crab legs and everything, which is amazing that people are buying all this stuff on a cruise. But it's awesome for Carnival. But we waited for 15 or 20 minutes one time, maybe 5 or 10 minutes the next time, and the line just wasn't moving. There was only one person there working. It's a lot of work for one person, so we just left and went and ate something else. It's not a big deal. But all the food we ate was good, from the dining room to the buffet to the C-Day brunches to all the specialty dining. Specialty dining was excellent. Regular food was good. All good, A there. Let's talk about the itinerary. We went to Bermuda. We had a short day in Bermuda from like 8 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. But Bermuda is one of our favorite ports. We had a great time. Bermuda is awesome. I love that itinerary. 5-dayer or 7-dayer, obviously better. You do 1 or 2 overnights based on 5 or 7 days. Those would obviously be better, but just going to Bermuda is great. It's short. It doesn't take long to get there to get back. So A there, no issues. Now let's talk about the entertainment. So with entertainment, what we're talking about is the cruise director. We're talking about the cruise director staff, trivia. We're talking about the production shows, if they have any guests coming in, the comedy shows, those type of things. So let's start with comedy. So for the comedy, it was the same comedians that I saw in Jubilee, which is really funny and weird. So we wound up only going to one comedy show. We saw Percy Cruz too. He was fine. Everything was good. Everybody seemed to enjoy him. It was basically the same show I saw before. So I don't really have, you know, it is what it is. It's fine. Carnival does a great job with their comedy. Tim Young was the other comedian. We did not see him. Mark Hugh was the cruise director. He was really interesting. Again, I don't know if, I don't know what's going on in Venezia. So he seemed to have really low energy at points, but talking to him one-on-one or watching him interact with people one-on-one, he was fantastic. He was engaging. He really tried hard to go above and beyond to make people's vacations great. So again, I don't know if there's a larger struggle internally going on that ship, but on some of the public interactions, like the big ones, it seemed a little off at times, but he was otherwise great. He was everywhere around the ship. Good job. The Carnival, the fun team staff was very good. Meg went to yoga and stretching a couple days. It's not really entertainment, but let's say it is. That staff was really good. The production shows, we saw 2 production shows. We saw Epic Rock the last night. That show was very good. And then we saw another show about painting. The tech in that show was really good. There was a decent amount of lip syncing in that first show, the painting one. But I never, like, it's happened on so many cruises and cruise lines in the past year that I think it's just the reduction of staff, that if people get sick or there's something going on, they don't have replacements. So I'm now letting that go. If people are lip syncing, I'm not complaining about it. The show was pretty good. The tech was really good. And like I said, the second show, the Epic Rock show, was very good. They had a guitarist on the beginning. So again, we'll do a full entertainment review coming up in a little bit, but entertainment was pretty good. What I didn't find was, it seemed like over the course of 4 days, and we had a couple bad weather days the first 2 days. Leaving, weather was terrible. The second day, weather was really terrible. Rainy, windy, you know, all the things that happen. Sometimes when there's nothing you can do, it's not their fault, right? So it just seemed like there wasn't anything to do. They weren't doing any of like the Mr. Sexy Legs competitions or anything like that by the pool, which was enclosed. So it's odd. Even the last day, the weather wasn't great. So we did a 4-day cruise. Day 1, all the decks, outside decks were closed on embarkation day because of the weather and the rain and everything. Day 2, we had 45-mile-an-hour winds. They closed the Serenity deck, deck 11, deck 12. All the outdoor decks were closed. And there really wasn't anything going on inside the ship at that point other than trivia. Day 3, we were in Bermuda, beautiful day. Day 4 was our last sea day back. After about 12 o'clock, we had winds again. I didn't think the winds were that bad, but they wound up shutting down all the outdoor decks again on day 4, and there was nothing going on in the ship. So other than trivia. So just weird, like the things that you normally see, I didn't see on this sailing. So it was okay, but let's get into the people, the drugs, the fights, everything else. So I purposely took a long time to get to all this stuff because I don't want to dissuade people from going on this cruise. It was a 4-day cruise, and I think that is probably a number one part of the problem. So we got on the ship, we talked about the drug dogs. Drug dogs were there, they checked everybody coming in. You heard my dissatisfaction with that process. Look, I don't care if you're smoking weed on the ship or off the ship. It doesn't affect my life. It doesn't bother me. I don't care. I'm just going to point it out because it's something that we observed. When we got on the ship, within like 3 hours of sail away, before the winds got really bad, we walked around outside and everybody was smoking. And they weren't vaping. They were smoking blunts or joints. So rolled weed. It's because like everybody was like, well, maybe it was people were vaping and it's harder to catch the oil. Nope. These were people that were outwardly just smoking on the pool. Again, I don't care if they were smoking. However, the fact that people are willing to risk, one, getting in legal trouble, two, being banned for life just to sneak weed on a 4-day cruise seems insane to me. Secondly, the fact that there's drug dogs on board the ship that are walking around and checking people before they get on, and they're still not able to corral a chunk of the weed that's coming on the ship is alarming to me. What else are they not catching if they're not able to catch that with dogs and everything else? So that was strange. Day one, on the Lido deck, day two, actually, sea day, fist fight on the pool deck over who knows what, right? Very odd. God only knows. Day one, embarkation day, to day two, to day three, to day four. Teenagers, adults, everybody and their brother screaming and yelling in the hallways at 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. Like never. I've heard little bits of stuff on other cruises, and I've been on Carnival before. This is my first Carnival cruise, right? This isn't the first time, and I've had great experiences. Just yelling and screaming, arguing, fighting, cursing, the whole 9 yards, up and down the corridors, early in the morning, late at night, whatever it is for you. Day three, coming back from Bermuda, we're in the atrium area, and a woman, we hear like a big commotion. This woman knocks her daughter or granddaughter's like juice out of her hand, breaks the glass. I can't tell you how many broken glasses I saw of drinks, more than 10 or 15 of people just dropping stuff in the middle, like more than I've ever seen before. And we don't stay up late. Keep in mind, we're never up past midnight. So this is all pre-midnight stuff. And this is like mid-evening, like 6 o'clock at night. She knocks it out and then starts vomiting in the middle of the atrium, in the middle of the hallway. And that goes on for 5 minutes. Like doesn't attempt to move to the bathroom or do anything else, just power booting right in the middle of the hallway there. Who knows, right? They just shut down the hallway. And then last night, the last evening, AJ was up all night. She was on deck one. There was a couple fighting about cheating, like screaming, yelling, everything else, fighting on the deck. And we saw just like lots of poor behavior is the best way I could put it. Lots of people just either fighting, standing in the middle of hallways, like blocking things with a big party, not caring about anyone else or anyone else's like vacation, just living their best life, doing whatever they want to do. Again, this isn't like the get your ball out of my yard kind of stuff. I don't care. But we're here just telling you like, hey, if you're interested in going on these cruises and these types of cruises, this is what we experienced. It was a wild time. It was not enjoyable to see people behaving in this manner for most of the cruise. The sailaway party, fun. Everybody's having a good time. Some people are drunk. It's fine. All that's good. But as we continued on in the cruise, the consistent fighting, breaking glasses, leaving food laying out in the hallways, like throwing glasses around when you don't care. It was wild. The wildest stuff I've ever seen on a cruise. I was on Jubilee this year. It was great. I was on Venezia for a 4-day cruise. It was not a great experience. If that was my first cruise and it was on Carnival and it was this 4-day cruise, I would never ever sail on Carnival again. We talked to a bunch of people. It was their first cruise. We were like walking around. We met a bunch of people and they were like, is this what cruising's about? And we were like, no. Like, we had long conversations with them about it to try to get them to try another cruise, another sailing, something else. Now, I do think that a big chunk of this is because we took a 4-day cruise, which turned into being like, look, out of New York, there's not like a 2 or 3 night cruise because of, we're in New York, there's not many places to sail to. So 4 seems to be, I guess, the booze cruise night. We went to Bermuda on a 4-day cruise, bad on us. Here's what I will say. If you are looking to go on a trip and hear fun music, just wake up at noon, eat dinner, get drunk, by the pool, go out at night, see some comedy, see a show, get hammered, live your best life, you're going to have a great time. If that's not what you're looking for, if you're looking to relax a little bit, to have a nice time, probably not the best sailing. I am saying sailing. I think the ship is beautiful. Today they're leaving on an 8-day cruise. I would love to talk to somebody who goes on that 8-day cruise. If you are out there and you did an 8-day on Venezia, please reach out to me and let me know that it's different or it's better. But in the experience that we saw, this 4-day cruise is not for us. We're not the target audience for this like booze cruise out of New York to Bermuda. Would I try Venezia again if it was a longer cruise? Absolutely. I'm always open-minded. I think that sometimes you just hit a perfect storm of the perfect people. But this is, when you hear people complain about Carnival, this was the greatest hits of like poor behavior, fights, like the weed, the alcohol, the like partying stuff. And again, we weren't even up late, so I don't even know what happened after 11 o'clock at night, ever. Like, we were in bed before that every night. So, just our experience. Take it with a grain of salt. Go experience it yourself. The ship is great. Most of the service was great. The food was great. So, let's talk about debarkation, disembarkation. It was excellent. So, Carnival has this new digital debark where you, during the cruise at some point, you sign up for when you would like to leave if you're doing express, carrying your stuff off, or if you're checking your luggage. You pick a time and then they tell you, they will notify you in the app when it's time, and then you walk down and you get off the ship. We set ours for 8 o'clock, between 8 and 8:20 to get off the ship. The 3 of us, we got a notification, so we were watching, like we got into New York this morning. We were watching people get off the ship. They made an announcement this morning. We're not going to be talking a lot over the speakers. You will get a notification on your phone. When you get that notification, you can get off the ship. Until then, please don't come down. And they had everything else blocked off. So about 7:50 something, we got the notification that it was our turn to disembark. We walked over, we were on deck 2. We walked over to 3. They told us we had to go up to 4 to get to the front, just because they had shut down the stairs on the other end, so people didn't come down. No problem. We walked to the front on 4, went down, walked around the line, which took about 5 minutes. Walked right off the ship, went right through customs, was outside by about 8:10. Great. A+ for that. It was awesome. And it seemed like people followed the directions. Great, great, great. Love that. I wish everybody would do that. I still wish that like cruises would make it like the airlines for doing express or walk off on your own. You can only bring like one carry-on, because you still see people like dragging and throwing luggage down the stairs, like 2 or 3 pieces of luggage, and they're holding everybody up. But other than that, it was great. Everything was great. Then we took off to the train station. We got home. So all in all, let's talk about it. Overall, I always have a great time on a cruise. Look, we're very blessed to be able to go on cruises. I go on a cruise almost every month. There are no bad cruises, right? It's great. I'm not at home. I'm not at work. I'm not in some awful conditions doing whatever. It's still a wonderful experience. I had a nice time. I did a lot of relaxing. There wasn't a ton going on. I did a lot of relaxing. I saw some good shows. I ate a lot of good food. I went to a comedy show. I did a bunch of fun things. We won trivia one day. It was great. But I wanted to give you the full spectrum of what we saw. You could talk to people that were on this cruise and they will say, yo, I had an amazing time on this cruise. I got on the ship, I ate a lot, I drank a lot, I partied with my friends, we had a great time, we got our pictures taken 753 times, and we had an amazing time. So again, take it all with a grain of salt, just our experience. Wasn't the best, wasn't great, wouldn't do that trip again, but open to trying a longer experience. If you have any questions or comments, please put them below. And we're happy to talk about it. I'm happy to talk. If you were on the cruise and you felt completely different, let me know. That's just our experience. So we'll talk about it more on the live stream on Wednesday. Thank you so much for watching. I know this was a longer video, but I wanted to be completely open and honest and transparent about our experience. I love Carnival. I loved my Jubilee cruise, and all I want is for all the cruises to be great and for people to behave and to have a wonderful time so that everyone can experience the amazing cruise life that we all get to experience and that we all love so much. So that's it. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much. We will see y'all tomorrow. Happy cruising, and bye.